Have you wanted to be a reader or wanted to get a reading, and you want to understand what the boundaries or contracts are like between reader and client? This video is going to talk all about that, coming up right now. Hi, I'm Mel. I'm from Mel's Divination. I'm the owner, I'm the creator, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about a subject that is a little slippery. And the reason why I say slippery is because I've already done this video once before and I hated it. So I had to throw it all away and start fresh. So today we're going to talk about reader-client boundaries, okay? And to clarify, I also want to just throw in, it's not just readers, it's also spiritual workers of any kind. So witches or other types that I'm not really thinking of that come to mind, coaches, anything like that. So I'm grouping that into a big umbrella generally, and this may or may not fit everybody. So take what resonates as always and leave the rest. But this is a general video to try to help clients, for one, understand what it's like to be a reader and kind of the business side of it and the energy side of it. And for two, people who may want to go into this field or are wanting to go into this field and what it's like on our side and mistakes I know I have made. So just so that you guys can kind of see what it's like from the other perspective. Just because when talking to clients, I've realized people don't fully get that. They don't understand. So sometimes it's helpful to hear it from somebody else's point of view and get this type of explanation. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to try to keep this short because my last one I rambled on and on and on, and that's one of the reasons why I threw it away, because my point got kind of lost in the message. So if you find yourself wanting to know what it's like to be a reader and how to or why we create client boundaries, that's what we're going to talk about. And this was really inspired by people I know who get readings who don't understand why readers do what they do, or think that readers are being nasty, or get frustrated with readers and they overstep the boundaries or the rules, and then they think that the person is being difficult or mean. So it was inspired by that type of vibe. And I wanted to try to explain to these types of people, no, that's not really what's going on. You don't fully understand it because you don't work in this field. And that's why I figured I wanted to get this message out, because there's a lot of misunderstandings, and it's really, truly just misunderstandings, okay? So going forward, I mentioned this just to check off those of you that don't know me, I look down because I have notes as I ramble. So to try to keep myself organized, I did mention that I would do this video in a previous video, in our mentor video. So I wanted to get this done so that I could give some insight. And what is it like on the professional end? How does it happen? What does it feel like? Where do we come from? As a reader, I've learned clients can see us as kind of inhuman, okay? So what does that mean? It's sort of like that whole inhuman anonymity through the screen, right? It's no one's fault. It's not the reader's fault. It's not the client's fault. And again, reminder, this is not just reader, but I'm going to use the word reader. So this is an overall spiritual worker. Due to figuring through screens or phones and anonymity, we can be on websites or on demand or on call or available at all times. And it makes them feel, it can make the client feel like we are in your pocket. We, as the reader, are in your pocket. Okay, so I'm going to try to give two different examples, what it's like to be the reader and what it's like to be the client. Okay, A person who acts virtually, we are also a person that acts like a counselor, basically, that clients lean on. So, for instance, I have many clients that come back sometimes multiple times a day, and they ask similar questions over and over, and I alleviate their concerns, I alleviate their worries. No, it looks the same. No, this is the path that you currently are on. No, this is what it feels like. Your feelings are valid, and that's not something you can do with a counselor because you have an appointment once a week or 3 times a week or once a month or whatever it is, and it's not on demand. So we are giving more of our energy. I am giving more of my energy and my time and my patience for people who really need it. A lot of us, when we first began this, for instance, we don't really know. So like when I first began, I didn't really know how to create professional client reader boundaries, okay? What hours to work, how to tell clients no, what to read around, what not to read around, and what behaviors were acceptable from clients. And what do I mean by that? Like, people will treat you very badly in the customer service world. And this is customer service. We are providing a service to our clients. And people will treat you like you're nothing if you, not everybody, but some people will treat you like you're nothing if you allow them to, and they'll keep coming back. I have had clients swear at me, tell me to hurry up and read their effing future and tell them that. And they would continue to come to me if I allowed that kind of behavior. So it's very much this need for boundaries instead of being like, oh yeah, I got a client. It's a self-worth thing and what's acceptable and what's not for a client-reader relationship. Now, really deeply, what I'd like to discuss is people see a reader as always available. That's the first real one I want to talk about, or the reader makes themselves too available. And I've done this. I'm super guilty. So I'm talking about things that I've been through, okay? Personally, and people that I know have been through or have done. What can happen, especially as a newer person in the reading profession, when you're so excited to be a reader and to get clients to do this professionally, we're on all the time. Like, for example, those websites, or we're available to our clients all the time. We let them text us all the time, or we let them call us all the time, or email us all the time without necessarily paying for it. And it burns us out. It makes us like, would you work your job all the time without getting paid for it? Probably not. A therapist doesn't work for free. And I like to compare us to a therapist right now only because that's sort of the same energy. A lot of the clients that we read for are people who need that help in crisis, or people who need that comforting, or people who need to look ahead to the future and they're going through something. So when you work with a counselor, they get paid somehow, either out of pocket or they get paid through insurance. And you're mindful of your time. You make your appointment and you show up. You don't hang out for an extra hour and a half. You don't constantly blow up their phone unless if it's part of your financial plan with them. And then you move on and then you go back again when it's time. That's how a reader relationship should be. Reader-client relationship should be. You make your appointment, you pay for it, and you move on. You don't stay on the phone chatting forever with them. You don't keep emailing them, you don't keep messaging them, because that's how those boundaries are blurring and you're taking advantage, okay? What can happen as a newer person, you get really excited, you get excited that you have clients, and the boundaries blur and you don't know your own boundaries or your work hours. So, for instance, I used to work 60-hour weeks. And I was so like, I have to do this. I have to be available all the time. I have to be answering messages. I have to be answering comments. I have to be able for the clients to reach me whenever they need me. And my mentor was like, no, you need to take a minute back. You're burning yourself out and you're not allowing yourself spiritually to reset. Because what happens as a reader, you drain your energy when you're working with people. You're giving your energy to people, and if you're not replenishing that energy, it's kind of like pouring from a cup. energetically speaking. Or a battery, think of a cell phone battery. You're draining that energy. And if you don't replenish that, if you don't take time out and replenish that, it's not going to come back. And you're not going to connect with spirit properly. You're not going to feel fulfilled. You're not going to be helping people properly. And you're going to be exhausted. And you could even lose your gift. So my mentor was like, you need to stop. You need to take 2 days off a week or whatever it was and set that you're working these hours and only these hours, and this is when you're helping people, and the rest of the time is what you're doing for yourself. So that really helped me a lot. And I recommend that if you're looking to get this business going yourself, I highly recommend that. And if you're a client of a reader, I highly recommend you respect readers' time, okay? Because people don't realize, oh, we're doing this 24/7. I do this 24/7. I'm constantly looking at my phone. I'm constantly on YouTube. I'm constantly checking what did somebody say on Instagram. Let me make sure I comment back, make sure I email them back, make sure I set up this appointment. I'm doing that all by myself. And like I said, so that can really drain you if you're not mindful and aware that you're feeding your energy into this stuff, which is the job, and it's your business, and it's your gifts, and it's enjoyable until suddenly you wake up and you're like, I'm exhausted and it's not fun anymore, and you didn't realize that you burned yourself out. So that's the big thing. It's finding that line in the sand where you take that time for yourself. And this can apply to regular jobs too. But you take that time for yourself so you can refill your cup, you can refill your battery, and you do recharge. And I'm not talking about a huge vacation. I'm just talking like 1 day a week, or taking that time every day to go out for a walk and reset, okay? Okay, so refocus. Please remember, readers are people too and live lives too. So if you do have their number and are texting them all the time, you are not paying them, you're using their energy. So that's something I did just mention. We are mostly independent contractors. The majority of us, I think everybody is, or self-employed. So if it's not, some readers I know will put it into like a bundle plan, like, oh, if you pay for this package plan, you get so many texts or so many email orders or whatever. But if you're constantly texting them back and forth, like a friend of mine made that mistake where she was constantly answering questions and then for free for clients. And then when she finally turned around and was like, you know what, why don't you book a reading? Like I'm answering a lot of questions for free. Why don't you book a reading? Her clients got really angry with her. So it is time consuming for us I don't mind helping. And that is part of this calling. Helping people grow and change and move forward. But when it comes to readings, that's my job, and it's part of my job. So just be mindful of how much energy and how much time you're taking advantage of with readers in general. And if they ask you to book a reading, don't be insulted. Book a reading, because that's their job. So I learned the hard way to kindly tell my clients to please book a session if they have questions, or I don't answer messages if it's somebody that's like messaging me way too much, things of that such. We have hours that we work and days that we don't, and that's period, end of story. And also with going over your allotted time, taking up the reader's time without paying them is hurting their business. So it's okay if you're on a roll with somebody. I have some wonderful clients and they'll be on a roll with me and we're really jamming along, and they've paid for, I don't know, a half an hour, or they've paid for an hour, and they want to keep going, and we keep going. And these people will say to me, I'm going to re-up, or I'm going to pay for another half an hour, charge me afterwards. And I will, and then they pay. They'll pay me after the fact. But if you do that, so if you stay online with a reader, if you continue talking to the person, and I'm talking about private businesses, not so much the websites, because the websites don't really give you that option. They cut you off. But private businesses, the self-employed section, if you say, hey, can we stay on for another half an hour? I'll pay you. Make sure you pay the person. Make sure that they're not chasing you. Make sure that you actually pay them, because what will happen is when it comes time to, okay, you were supposed to pay them in March for that extra 30 minutes and you never did, come whatever, May, June, July, you're ready for your next reading and you still haven't paid them for that overage from March, they're not going to read for you. And it's our right to refuse. So they're not going to, why are they going to read for you? You still owe them $100. You still owe them $75 for that energy that they've already given you. So that's just something to be mindful for. The other thing I really want to talk about is rules and contracts, okay? So, and that's the last thing, and then we'll be done. Rules and contracts. Readers won't read around certain things, and they also can ask their clients to sign contracts. And I don't mean contracts like, oh, you have to read with me, get so many readings. What I mean is it's contracts based around rules. So I know a reader who will literally have her clients sign contracts. She's a reader / coach. And she has her clients sign contracts like, I am over the age of 18. This information can't be held against you. I am giving you advice here, but it is just advice. That kind of contract. It's also, there's privacy contracts and things of that nature where she won't read with people if they refuse to sign these contracts, because it covers a lot of bases for her, because she's had problems with people in the past. So she will not read with clients unless if they agree to sign this. That is her business and that is her right, okay? So that doesn't make her nasty. That doesn't make her mean. It's just like if you sign up for something on Google, online, like Facebook, you have to sign in terms and conditions. Just like if you go to take out a credit card, or if you are joining a business, or if you are becoming a member at a club like, I don't know, Planet Fitness, which is a gym, if you guys don't know, a workout gym, you have to sign something saying you're going to follow their rules. If you don't do that, you can't be a member. So it's kind of like that, okay? The other thing is the rules of what people will read around. Like for me, I don't really like reading around certain legal things, certain health things. I'm very cautious and picky about doing that. For instance, I had somebody ask me if a person was going to die or if they were going to die, and I was rather uncomfortable with that. Reading around death is very tricky, because if you tell somebody they're going to die and you're wrong, they could turn around and kill themselves. And I'm using that as an example because it's extreme. Another one that I was very uncomfortable reading with, that somebody tried to force me into it, was somebody that I was an acquaintance with from childhood, and he was having legal issues. And when he found out I was a reader, he tried to get me to read around his court case. And I personally was not cool with that, because I knew he was a troubled individual. And what if I was wrong? We're not 100% perfect. Nobody is. We're all human. So if I was wrong and he believed, oh yeah, you're going to be fine, now he could come after me. Or there's a possibility that could happen. So readers refuse to read around things, or like I won't do a mediumship reading. I'm not a medium. I cannot speak to somebody who has passed away. It's not how I work. So we specialize in things where we read around things, and we have certain ways of readings, and that is because it's how our skills are developed. Just like a carpenter does his work a certain way, a plumber does their work a certain way. That's how we work. So instead of being like, oh, this person's being a jerk, take a step back and think, there's a reason for this. And the reason why, again, I wanted to share all this with you guys is so that you can, first of all, if you wanted to be a reader or a spiritual worker of some kind, it's okay to set boundaries. And we set these boundaries because of lessons we've learned along the way, because of mistakes that we've learned along the way, things that we've done wrong, or people that have pushed the boundaries. And I've realized, at least me personally, oh, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to do that anymore, or I'm not going to do that, or whatever. So there's that. And it's also to protect the client. Some of it's to protect the client. Okay? So remember these kinds of things before you jump into a reading. Be mindful of that. Good spiritual workers and readers want you to have an excellent experience. And one of the reasons why we set boundaries and have clear rules and conditions and explanations and etc. is because we want our clients to walk away feeling better, feeling lighter, and being happy with what they experienced. We don't want the client walking away feeling like they just wasted their money. So a lot of these boundaries and rules and such are put into place to protect both the client and the worker, because we're not gonna, like, for instance, I'm not gonna read around a certain thing that I can't read around and just take your money. You're not gonna be happy with that. It's not fair to you. It's fraudulent, and it's not okay. So again, that's to protect both of us, right? So I've had people be furious about it, but it's to protect both of us, protect me and you, to make sure you're getting a good reading. So please understand and be a little bit compassionate with readers when that kind of thing, or workers, spiritual workers, when that kind of thing is happening. Everybody has specialties. Everybody has boundaries for a reason. And it's usually because something's happened that's made them go, oh, yeah, we're not doing that one again. At least in my experience and the people that I know. So I hope this helps. Again, this wasn't meant to chew anybody out or make anybody angry. It really was to try to give some insight of what it's like from the psychic reader perspective, spiritual worker perspective, because this job is a calling. Working as a reader, a tarot reader, a spiritual worker, a coach, a mentor, a witch, which I don't work as a witch professionally, to be clear, because I know I've said it before, but just so everybody knows, to be clear, I don't. I work as a tarot reader and a spiritual coach right now. Maybe witch someday. That's not in the plans currently. But we go into this because we're inspired to, because we're called to, because we want to help people. 95% of us. There's the bad people, there's the bad apples, and there's always going to be bad apples in every profession. But the majority of us go into this to help, right? So I wanted to show this to kind of give some insight so that others understand why these readers like me put things in place. That way, people who don't work this field, who want to get readings, can kind of understand it a little bit better. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I hope that has shined a little bit of clarity on the situation. I hope that maybe those of you out there that have been interested in this or have just started out, it gives you a little bit of guidance here. It's not going to be my main plan in this channel to give guidance to new starting psychics, but it's just talking about my journey, and something that I felt really needed to be said because people that I know have been going through it lately. And please please subscribe, please share if you enjoyed this, and hit the notification bell, because I will be going live this week. So, because my new goal for myself is to go live 2 times a month right now. So I owe you guys a live. I've only gone live once this month. So keep your eye out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.